Pastor Bob Nogalski here once again, and we're continuing the reading of the book To Tattoo or Not to Tattoo by Terry Watkins. We left off on 1 Kings 18:25 and 28, and which describes the devil worshiping, self-mutilation, bloodletting prophets there of Baal. It is also evident from other scriptures that cutting of the flesh or bloodletting was common practice among the pagan, wicked nations. For example, in Leviticus 21 and verse 5 and Deuteronomy 14:1, the Lord condemns such demonic practices. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. Leviticus 21:5. And ye are the children of the Lord your God, ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. Deuteronomy 14:1. Bloodletting and demon possession. Mark chapter 5 contains the account of a devil-possessed man in Gadara. Notice in verse 5, among the demonic acts is the telltale sign of possession, and that is cutting himself with stones. And they came over onto the other side of the sea into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and so no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broke in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. For he said unto me, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. Mark 5:1-9. It is also interesting that this cutting himself with stones was associated with a man possessed, not with one, but many devils. Luke describes the same account as a certain man which had devils a long time, Luke 8:27. And when he went forth to land, there met him out of the city a certain man which had devils long time, and wore no clothes, neither abode in any house, but in the tombs. The morbid practice of cutting oneself and bloodletting has long and dark history in the demonic pages of Satanism, demonism, and the occult. Under the definition of Satanism, the highly acclaimed Encyclopedia of American Religions list among the activities performed by Satanists is bloodletting. In this branch of Satanism, one can expect to find those individuals engaged in grave robbery, sexual assaults, and ritual bloodletting. And an article in the Independent acknowledges the pathway from bloodletting to Satanism found on websites aimed toward children. This is by Russell, which is called Buffy. Imagine that. The Association of Teachers and Lecturers said the popularity of children's programs and books featuring witchcraft could encourage children to search for sinister material on the internet. Researchers for the Union found websites promoting Satanism, bloodletting, and Wicca, which is the Witch Association. One website found by the Union describes in detail how to carry out bloodletting and blood drinking. In 1996, a satanic Kentucky vampire cult led by the self-acclaimed 500-year-old vampire and Satanist teenager Rod Farrell brutally murdered 2 people. Farrell began his dark journey of blood, Satanism, vampires, and murder by walking around cemeteries at night, cutting himself and practicing bloodletting. And that's according to Court TV, Vampire Cult. Tattoos is a trail of bloodletting. There's no question that tattoos originated from the satanic ritual of bloodletting and cutting of the flesh as described in 1 Kings 18. In fact, in Leviticus 19, verse 28, where the Lord clearly condemns the tattoo, ye shall not print, listen to me, print any marks upon you. Notice what else is included in the same verse. In the context, the Lord clearly connects the forbidden marks or tattoos with cuttings in your flesh. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. Leviticus 19:28. But my dad died, but my mama died, but my brother died, but this died, that died, and I put their name on my flesh. What do you think that's about? It's wrong, man. It's wrong. Tattoos and the blood flows. Perhaps it would be a good time to give a brief description of the tattoo procedure. May I remind you, these are all from Pro Tattoo Resources by Miller, page 28. Early people cut open their skin and rubbed soot into the wounds to mark themselves. They punctured their skin with the bones and teeth of animals. And you'll see little drops of blood emerge from the freshly tattooed spot. How much you bleed has a lot to do with your personal physiology, as well as the outside factors like the presence of alcohol in your bloodstream, which can make you bleed like a stuck pig. Usually your blood will coagulate within a few minutes, clotting up the tiny punctures that have been made. When your tattoo is finished, the artist will clean it gently with an alcohol water solution. Once that dries and little blood bubbles have ceased rising to the surface, the artist may want to snap a few pictures of your piece. This is all also according to Miller, page 97, 98, 99, tattoo artist. The tattooist guides the tattoo machine over the skin. He or she stops the needle every minute or so to wipe the blood and ink clean. The amounts of bleeding and pain in the tattoo process differ according to each person. After the first 2 hours, remove the bandage and wash away any collected or dried blood, according to tattoo artist Graves. As soon as he stops working with the needle, the sailor's skin sends up its blood beads. The eagle eye reddens, but there is now no telling blood from ink. Karmi floods the flesh behind the eagle with red, and the finished eagle poses on a red skin, born and baptized in the blood of its owner. So that's by tattoo artist Scott, 19. These are descriptions of tattoo artists. The reasons why puncturing the skin should be regarded with some degree of awe are not far to seek, for in the first place there is the drawing of blood. Listen to vocabulary, which to the savage world over is full of significance as a rejuvenating and immortalizing factor. There is in addition the opening of numerous inlets for evil to enter. That's by tattoo artist Gilbert. In other words, some of these tattoo artists are in the cult. They believe in Satanism, and they're doing all your work. Rolling Stone magazine gives a first-hand description of the bloodletting tattoo procedure. Evan Seinfeld, the basis for Biohazard, sits in the chair, offers his hand, and waits for the bleeding to begin. The instrument wears to life, humming across Seinfeld's hand, creating a vibrating pool of blood and ink. That's by Lipton, according to Bad Skin. Beware, the tattoo procedure is a satanic practice of bloodletting or cutting flesh. Rubbing in ink or pigment does not change the fact that you are cutting your flesh and you are bleeding. Don't take my word for it. Here's what the pro-tattoo historians write. By far the most extensive work ever published on tattoos was Dr. W.D. Hambley's The History of Tattooing and Its Significance. Author Steve Gilbert, in his popular tattoo history, a source book, writes, Hamlin concluded that historically tattooing had originated in connection with the ancient rites of sacrification and bloodletting. Hamlin concluded that historically tattooing had originated in connection with ancient rites of scarification and bloodletting, which were associated with religious practices intended to put the human soul in harmony with supernatural forces and ensure continuity between this life and the next. We stop there, but just think about what I'm saying before your mind starts saying, well, I'm not bloodletting, I'm not doing this, that ain't what that means. Trying to get a little funny with us, trying to find loopholes in what you did wrong. God says don't put no marks on your body, and that's what he meant. But we're going to continue this study later. Thank you.